Prepare yourself for the coming 5D wave. Massive 5D energy waves are coming. Today we're going to be talking about specific 6D energy techniques that you can use to exit the 3D matrix. As always, my suggestion is to question your reality and then change it. Hello, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so there's a lot of crazy energy happening in the world right now. I mean, I don't even need to get into all of the stuff that's happening politically across the globe. I mean, things are just exploding. Things are just coming apart at the seams. Remember, I've been telling you for a while that what's going to happen in terms of the power structure on Earth is that everything is going to get flipped on its head. So we are seeing some of that beginning to happen. I don't want to take up time talking about politics, so I won't. You can do your own, just stay aware with with what's coming across in social media. But things are beginning to flip on their heads, and it's a clear sign that the dark forces are losing power. And again, there's nothing more dangerous than a hungry, wounded animal. So this is definitely not the time to, go to sleep, because all kinds of crazy things could be happening. Now, in terms of what's happening, what we're doing energetically with our work, specifically I'm talking about the live guided interdimensional meditations. Got another one coming up tomorrow. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do the meditation or if it's just going to be a live stream Q&A. But these meditations that we're doing are having huge effects. And the best way I can describe how I perceive it, and this isn't a psychic or energetic prediction or channeling. I'm just telling you this is how it feels to me and how I think what is probably going on. What it feels like to me is that when we are out there, especially when we chant the Huar breath and we chant it into the galactic center through the sun to the earth, what it feels like to me and what I've experienced watching the after effects is that the energy that has been covering everything, which has been insulating the dark force agenda, which has been insulating people's mindset, keeping them in the illusion, the 3D illusion, that energy that's coming in is stripping that away, getting rid of that. And the end result is that people are just naturally waking up. So the things that I'm seeing happening politically, which from my perspective is, again, everything is the power structure is getting shifted on its head. What is also happening is that people are just waking up. And the other aspect is that, again, anything that the dark forces do to hold on to power backfires. So I'll just give you two examples politically. And again, I'm not taking a political side. I'm just watching what's happening. We saw what's been going on with the establishment trying to get rid of Trump. No matter what they do, it makes him more popular. They try and blow his brains out. They miss him, misses him, grazes his ear, makes him, a martyr and a hero. What was interesting is that the direct result of that, which I think we had a hand in, I can't prove it, but I think that our meditations may have perhaps change that, that incident. If that had gone the other direction, things would have gone south, very fast. But the direct result of Trump surviving the assassination attempt was getting RFK Jr.'s endorsement. And it went beyond that. Now it's like this coalition government that they're making, where almost like RFK's going to be like the vice president. But in fact, he might even be more powerful, because traditionally the vice president doesn't really do anything, doesn't have any power. So RFK was put in the place to be doing all kinds of things to clean house in the government. And then most recently, and the point is that the dark forces tried to stop Trump, tried to jail him, tried to kill him, backfired on them, made them even less powerful as a result. Made the dark forces even less powerful by their own actions. And then they tried to prevent RFK from getting on the ballot. That put him in a position where he didn't have any choice. If he wanted to be influential, he had to team up with Trump. And that was the last thing. And he just now won a court case because they were trying to keep him on the ballot, all kinds of crazy stuff after he was trying to get off the ballot. And then most recently, we've got Elon Musk has now apparently been appointed, the government auditor. He's going to go in and audit the government, under Trump. And they've been trying to shut Elon Musk down for his, what he's been saying. Now, let me be clear. I'm not taking a side, not telling you who to vote for or not to vote for. I'm not saying that these people are, descended from the gods. And we don't know yet. What I do know is that they represent a direct threat to the power structure. And no matter how hard the power structure tries to get rid of any influence that works against them, it backfires on them, and it ends up making those very things they tried to get rid of more powerful and working against them even more. So I've been watching that and been noticing that, and I think that is a direct result of the work that we're doing. It's symbolic. People are waking up. I just saw somebody who, just now voiced his opposition to the, very well-known Democrat, just voiced his opposition to the Democratic Party, and he's leaving. Now, his reasons for doing it, I completely disagree with his reasons for doing it. But what it means, even though I think his understanding of the issues are wrong, the fact that he's leaving means that the power structure is coming apart. So that's my view. And it's getting back energetically. It is the energy that's hitting the earth that is doing this. People are merely responding to the energy. And I believe that we have a strong influence on that. These meditations, these practices are having a strong influence on the entire world. So today we are going to take a look at some things that you can do to increase this. Now, speaking personally, you might be having some challenging experiences. I am. I won't lie to you. I am. Meditatively, energetically, I'm having all kinds of blissful experiences. In terms of living in this 3D world, I'm not having such fun. I love being in nature. I love surfing. I love the ocean. Those things are still there and available to me, and I'm enjoying those. So it's not that I hate, living and I want to, delete myself. It's that I'm just tired of this 3D narrative, and I'm really finding myself yearning for this new world, and I want it to get here already. So I spend a lot of time thinking about that. And when we do these meditations, I feel a huge amount of energy coming from it. But the results of that is that it starts tearing me apart and deleting my 3D-ness, and those are still challenging experiences for me. And so you may be like me, having these, this split where you're having these very powerful spiritual experiences, and at the same time, finding it challenging and difficult to keep waking up and doing the same old thing again. So what I'm doing more and more is I'm taking a direct commitment towards leaving, energetically leaving this frequency and getting into the next one. And so I'm asking the questions: what can I do? How far can I take this? One of the things that is happening for me is that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about higher dimensions. We've been talking about that, but specifically, I'm thinking, the thought experiments that I spend my time is thinking about the actual physical difference between the third and the fourth dimension. So let's go down that rabbit hole for just a little bit. So again, a two-dimensional flat world. If such a world existed where two-dimensional beings existed, I've come to the conclusion that's impossible. I think that the third dimension is the lowest dimension you can go and still have conscious beings physically living in. I think once you get below the third dimension, it's impossible for consciousness to really exist. But let's assume that this is possible. So a flat plane, right? Two-dimensional existence, this flat plane, right? But it's flat like this. There's little round beings. From our perspective, they're round beings. From their perspective, they're seeing everything from one dimension. They're just these, flat beings and all that. The reason why I don't think that you can live in the third dimension, because the truth is there's no width to it, and you have to have at least a little bit of width to see. Right? So there has to be a third dimension for you to see anything at all. So, but they can't. It's completely flat. But they're still able to live there in our theory. So, if you were to communicate with them, and you draw a line around them, and now they're blocked in because they can only go around on a flat plane. So you've drawn a square around them with no door. Now they're locked in, they can't get out. And you say to them, it's very easy. All you have to do is go over the line I've drawn. And they say, I don't know what over is. You mean left? No. You mean right? No. You mean forward? No. You mean backward? No. You mean diagonally? No. Over. There is no over. Under. There is no under. I don't know what that means. Right? Because the third dimension is you draw a line at a right angle, and that's what creates a dimension. Flat plane, and then the right. There's one dimension here, and then you draw a line at a right angle, and now you have two dimensions. You draw a line at a right angle up and down, now you have three dimensions. So there has to be a fourth dimension. There's a line drawn at a right angle to that. What that would be, I don't know, because again, it's like a two-dimensional creature. They don't know what up or down is. I don't know what Flibbenkopf and Corbeflecht are, which would be the other directions. But the end result would be that, and is that, for instance, in your house, if you're sitting there in your house or your apartment or wherever you are, you look around and you see the four walls, even if there's, a hallway or a doorway. In essence, there's four walls around you and a roof. So you're locked in here. Now imagine if out of nowhere there were, a box was put around you with no doors out. You couldn't get out. And then all of a sudden you see this being appear and disappear and walk through the wall. And the being says, just come with me. What do you mean come with you? I can't. I'm trapped in this box. No, you're not. all you have to do is go florbercapt. I don't know what florbercapt is. Well, you know what up and down is? Yeah. You know what left and right is? Yeah. You know what forward and backward is? Yeah. All right. And then there's florbercap and keeper flopped. So just go one of those directions, and can't you see it? It goes right through. Watch, disappears, goes in the wall, comes back. See, I just went keeper flopped. Ends up on the other side of the room. He goes out that way, and he ends up over there. He went floorbill capped and then keeper flopped, but you can't see it. You can't, and you try to go through it, and literally nothing happens. The same way the guy living in 2 dimensions, he goes left and right and he keeps bumping into the wall. He can't access up and down. So I like to believe that in my meditations, when I really strain myself, I can get a sense of it. I can almost feel like something is splitting open. And I've shared with you the first day that I trained in the spirit fighting, I had such a powerful experience that I knew that I could walk through the wall. I didn't realize it at the time, but what was happening is that the 6th dimensional energy of the spirit fighting was giving me an ability to sense, at the very least, a 4th dimension. And so if I had walked through the wall, I wouldn't have been breaking any rules. I wouldn't have been doing something impossible. I would simply have been going that other dimensional direction that exists, but is normally hidden to us. So this is the kind of place that my brain is going. And why is that important? Because if I start to feel like I'm tapping into it, I bump into my 3rd dimensional fear of dying. And this is important. So if you're having that fear, if you're having that resistance, it's simply because the parameters of your programming are being deleted and changing, and that feels like a death, and it's very, very frightening. So anyway, I don't know how this is going to work. I still don't know. I still don't know how we shift to that higher frequency. Is it just a continuous slow crawl? There has definitely been a shift. No two ways about it. There has been a huge shift in consciousness. And if it continues like this, we may not realize it because it's happening, from one day to the next. But if we were to look at the consciousness level of people now and compare it to 3 or 4 years ago, be light years away. I know it is for me. If I go back, to 2019, just before the pandemic, if I go back there, I was fully, completely part of, I had drank the Kool-Aid. I was fully and completely part of the dark force narrative. In fact, I defended it on my channel. The videos are still there if you want to go watch them. And how drastically my beliefs have changed since then has been absolutely, a huge shift. The people that I've worked with who have done interdimensional meditations, some of my apprentices, their transformation has been so unbelievable. Lifetimes of transformation and evolution have happened within months. So the level of transformation has been, we may not realize it yet, but it's huge. And people who are deeply, deeply entrained into the dark force narrative are waking up. People and they don't even know. Some people are having huge changes and they don't even understand what it is. They haven't met with higher dimensional beings or done spirit fighting or any of that. They can sense and feel, as it were, that 4th dimension, that other 4th dimension, it's sort of like in my mind, what I see is that, you're looking at a wall, part of the box that you're in, And then all of a sudden that wall opens up and there's a whole other world there. And it's been there this whole time. And to walk into that other world is nothing unusual, any more than it is for somebody in a two-dimensional plane to get up and walk over the line you drew in front of them. And so, anyway, let's get to the specifics. So I've given some practices here for you. Specifically, generally speaking, how can we use these 60 techniques to exit 3D space-time? I want to go into all of that. I'm not going to take the time to do it, but you've seen me talk about 6D, that the Maoshan practices are 6D energies, and it has to do with the 8, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't get it, don't worry. It's okay if you don't get it. I barely get it. It's an experiential thing. Those of you who have done the spirit fighting, those of you who have done Awakening the Immortals, the other energy practices, at the very least, you're beginning to have an experience. So it makes sense to you that you can sense that. You may not be able to see it or be able to, make it happen like that. But you can sense that it's there. So here's some of my suggestions. So I would recommend that you research the scientific 3D simulation evidence that is out there. So there's a physicist, mathematician, Donald Hoffman. So go search for him on YouTube. He's all over the place on YouTube when it comes to simulation. And this is a scientist who didn't mean to go down this road and ended up, I can't remember exactly what he was trying to figure out, but scientifically, mathematically, he was trying to figure something out. I think it had to do with consciousness or something like that. And he ended up finding out that from a mathematical perspective, forget about spirituality and all that, from a mathematical perspective, he came to the inescapable and frightening conclusion that we live in a simulation, and that everything in science is nothing more than studying what he calls the headset, the 3D virtual reality headset. So of course you can't use the headset to disprove the headset. That's basically what he says. So, but go check him out, because that, even if you don't understand it, what's helpful about that is that your mind believes in science. Your mind believes in 3D science. And even if you don't believe in or a bunch of other things that a lot of scientists talk about, unconsciously you do. And so when you start hearing a PhD physicist, mathematician telling you scientifically why the only conclusion is that this 3D space-time is an illusion, it breaks your attachment to your belief in this reality. Or at least it does me. So I recommend that you do that. Crack your brain open so that it's more able and ready to accept new awareness. Again, the fourth dimension is here. Just the fact that you can't see it doesn't mean it's not physically here, any more than people in 2 dimensions, just because they can't see up or down doesn't mean that up or down doesn't exist. And if if you can sit there and tell them all day, just step over the line, you can tell them that until you're blue in the face, but until they have that experience, they can't leave. But it doesn't change the fact that up and down still exist, because you can do it. You can pick them up and put them back down. You can put things in, take it out of their 2-dimensional reality. The 2-dimensional beings think it's magic. Just like us when we do CE5 and the orbs show up. By the way, there's a reason why they always show up as orbs. It has to do with the fact that that's what happens when you come from a higher dimension to the 3rd dimension. It'll show up like a tiny orb, and the bigger, if it gets bigger and bigger, it means it's getting deeper and deeper into the 3rd dimension from one of those other directions, Corbelflap and Keebleplopped. They're just coming in from a direction that exists. You can't see it, but it's coming in from there. So anyway, I got lost. What was I saying? So research scientific 3D simulation evidence, Donald Hoffman. Become aware of your instinctual attachment to the 3D narrative. And I put there money. Now, this is what goes through my head a lot, and I don't like it. So it's a real thing. As long as we're in this particular society, it's a real thing. You can't just decide that it's not something to deal with. And yet at the same time, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. At the same time, you're supposed to just stop thinking about that nonsense. Again, money doesn't exist. Even if we deal with actual three-dimensional real objects, money has never existed. Even when money actually was gold and silver. Gold and silver are physical objects. They have no inherent value to you. You don't need them. You could go your entire life living in the third dimension, eating, sleeping, clothing yourself, and you would never need, in fact, I don't know how many times in my hand I've ever touched gold. So gold means nothing. Silver means nothing unless we both decide that it's a symbol that it does. So we're not even in that reality anymore. Now money is nothing more than ones and zeros in software in a bank program. It doesn't mean anything. So become aware of that what you need are access to resources to survive. Thank goodness air is free. It wouldn't be if the powers that be had the ability, trust me, if they had the ability to limit air, they would, and they would charge you money to be able to breathe it, and or they would lock you up and make you do labor. And what you want today's ration of air? Well, then you're going to have to do this, and this. They would if they could get away with it. They just can't. They're trying to do it with water. They're trying to do it with land. They're trying to do it with food, and they're trying to do it with everything else. So work very hard to become aware of your instinctual attachment to the 3D narrative. Listen, I'm no less human than any of you. And so I would be frightened as well if somebody was threatening my resources, my ability to stay alive. I'm no different than anybody else. But there's a difference between choosing to buy into that. Again, I keep thinking of the elites now. It's interesting what's happening with. I used to be an actor. I was a Hollywood actor. I never made it big or anything like that. So I don't know what that pressure is like to be a big, rich celebrity. I don't know what that is like. But I can imagine that they've become very attached to all of the things that give them their money and their status. And it's now obvious to me when you look at actors like Sean Penn, when you look at actors like Robert De Niro, when you look at other actors who have drunk the Kool-Aid. I mean, Sean Penn, won't allow you to work on whatever television show he's producing if you're not, he's so wrapped up in that. And Robert De Niro has completely lost his mind. And he's, and it seems really clear to me now, because I don't think either of those people, if they were just normal, I think both of those guys, if they hadn't, grown up and become celebrities and rich and dependent upon that whole insulated world, if they hadn't become so insulated and addicted to their money and their prestige, I don't think that I think they would be Trump followers. That's the vibe I get from them. So I assume that they're afraid to lose all of that. And I think all of this is unconscious. They're unconsciously afraid of losing, what's keeping them alive, their prestige, which is obviously, it's clear that the structure of the elites are propping up the establishment celebrities, musicians, actors, politicians. They're all in that same club now. They're all together. Anyway. So become aware of your instinctual attachment to the 3D narrative. Make a committed, disciplined decision to choose to exit the simulation. So that's one of the conscious decisions I'm making. Is I'm making the decision on a daily basis, and I repeat it to myself on a daily basis, that I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to come home. What do I got to do? I have the power to face my fears, to acknowledge my fears of dying, of acknowledging my fears of being excluded from society, the ability to drive a car or, buy food or, all the stuff that, that we think we need in order to be a part of society. I'm seeing more and more people who are just choosing to forget all of that. They're living out of their van. They're choosing to be homeless, some people. And it's not because they can't choose to have a home, and they just don't want to do it. They just don't want to be a part of it. They just want to unplug from the system. And I appreciate that and I respect that. So I'm making that decision, not just to disconnect from society. I haven't made that decision, but to disconnect from the 3D narrative. Like, let's get out of this third dimension. Let's go to this next one, whatever it is. Whether it's a higher frequency of the 3D or whether it's another dimension altogether. And part of the reason that I think that way is because I interact with beings from higher dimensions on, almost a daily basis. And I know that for them, it's as easy for them to come in and out of the third dimension as it would be for me to stick my finger in and out of the second dimension. It's not a big deal to me. It's just, I definitely have the ability. They have the ability. So what is it that gives them that ability? Am I fundamentally capable of leaving this dimension if, and what would it take for me to be able to do that? So all that, those questions, I don't destroy myself if I can't figure it out, but continuing to think like that, I'm consciously breaking my attachments, intellectually, psychologically, consciously breaking my attachments to this world. Practice 12 steps to 5D to overcome 3D addiction. I'm not going to belabor that. 12 steps to 5D is on this channel. I think there's 1 or 2 steps I still need to make videos of, but you can get started. I can't overestimate how powerful that is. I recommend that you do that. Go look for it on this channel. I think there's a folder for it on the YouTube channel. You can go look for 12 steps to 5D. Do interdimensional meditation as often as possible. Actually, when we do interdimensional meditation, we are leaving this third dimension in our astral bodies. So we actually can, and we do. Every time that we do that, we leave the third dimension. The truth is that we are connected. Our minds are not in the third dimension. Our emotions are not in the third dimension. So it's an illusion that we think our brain is our mind, and it's not. Our brain is 3D hardware that has software in it, and its job is to collapse the quantum waves so that you can experience a physical reality. That's what this is. It converts quantum waves into singular physical realities. That's what your brain is. It's not your mind. Your mind is beyond that. Your mind is higher dimensional. Continue to visualize your fantasy 5D Earth. This is what the light beings have repeated to me over and over and over again. To actually create your 5D world. and to go back there, to visit it, to experience it in your fantasies, your meditations, your fantasies. Make the decision to go there. So I don't know exactly what that does. I just know that that's probably, among the most important things you can do. Continue to visualize your fantasy 5D Earth. Do the Mao Shan practices and meditations daily. So this is generally to everybody. If you have access to the channel, you have access to Mao Shan practices. You can go to thunderwizard.com. The 90-day challenge subscription will give you access to the lightning qigong as well as a bunch of other things. And then the shop at the thunderwizard.com shop, there's no shortage of Mao Shan practices there, including things like runes and other things like that. And there's all different levels. So, some of the spirit fighting practices, that takes a little bit of a financial commitment. But the Awakening the Immortals is super inexpensive. So anybody listening to me, unless you're 10 years old and you literally don't have a bank account, everybody listening to me should be able to get access to those practices. So it doesn't matter which ones you do. Generally speaking, it just depends on, your desires. All right, so those are the basic ones. I'm going to go a little more deeply here. Here is a 6D energy practice routine. This is not like the law. You don't have to message me and go, I can't do number 3. Am I able to do this? This is just a suggestion on one possible routine that you can put together. If I'm thinking of, here's a great routine. You want to have a daily, weekly routine to do. Your main focus is to shift into, whatever 5D is. This is one suggestion. I'm going to have an advanced, so this is a basic one, and then I'm going to share an advanced one. And both of these are just suggestions. So don't flip out and don't get all, legalistic about it. Okay? This is just a suggestion. If you want to have something to do, try this and then tweak it. Doing something on a daily basis helps. Doing these practices, tapping into 6D energy on a daily basis helps. It'll give you a leg up over the average person for sure. All right. So the 6D energy practice routine, do the lightning qigong routine daily. So that can be found here, thunderwizard.com, 90-day challenge. Many of you have already done it or are doing it. So just keep doing that. I recommend you keep doing that every day. That works on all 3 levels. You understand what that is. Now, 3 to 7 days per week, here are some other things to do. The 5 element breaths and postures. So the 5 element breaths and postures you can find in the 90-day challenge. That is something I don't talk about a lot, but it's really, really, it's healing and powerful. And it will help. One of the things that as I'm researching alternative science that has been suppressed, that people have been figuring it out scientifically and mathematically. They came to the same conclusions that the Taoists did. So for instance, the Taoists tell you this is how the world was created. From the nothing came the one. From the one came the two, yin and yang. From the two came the three dantians. From the 3 came the 5 elements. From the 5 came infinity. Actually, these are, what are those prime numbers? 1, 3, 5. The next one is what? 8. What is the one thing we work with? We work with the 8-sided symbol when you're doing your practices. So 1, 3, 5, 8. This is, and I forget the words for it, but mathematicians have been talking about the power of that number sequence. So I'm looking into that. We're dealing with science here. This isn't just spiritual, whatever. This is science. When you do these practices, you open up portals to other dimensions. That's why you don't have to believe anything. You do the practices, it doesn't matter what you believe. You do the 5 element practices, it doesn't matter what you believe. It's going to work. So do the 5 element breaths and postures, awakening immortals qigong. So this is if you're not, trying to be, trying to, kill demons with your bare hands. You do the awakening the immortals qigong. It's incredibly powerful, and it will give you a direct access to the Maoshan immortals. That's why it's called that. And it will give you direct access to light beings. In fact, it will be when you do the awakening the immortals or summoning the immortals qigong, it's like sending the bat signal. Light beings feel it and they come to it. You will be calling higher dimensional beings to come and work with you. You can then create communication with them. Guaranteed they will be listening, and you will have access to them. So I would recommend, that's something I would do on a daily basis if you didn't have anything. The 3 Ones meditation plus the Maoshan mantra. This again is found here in the 90-day challenge. And the 3 Ones meditation, I give you a simplified version of an ancient Maoshan meditation, the first Maoshan practice that was written down. It was kept secret for a very long time. And this practice is if you do it and you live it, it is guaranteed that you will shift. In fact, the end result of doing that meditation and mastering it, according to those Taoist scriptures, is that some carriage from the sky will come down and lift you up in the light of day to the highest heavens. It's a very poetic way of saying you'll shift to a higher dimension. So I would recommend that. And the Maoshan mantra that I've given you was given to my teacher directly from the Maoshan master that is responsible for many of the practices that I give to you. He has since passed away, but it gives you direct connection to them. So doing the 3 Ones meditation and then the Maoshan mantra afterwards, I know, obviously, because I've done it, incredibly powerful. You can find both of those at thethunderwizard.com, the 90-day challenge. Interdimensional meditation, recorded or self-guided, that's obvious and that's free for anybody. And if I take a day off, and I'm not gonna, I might not this Saturday, I might not do a guided meditation because I need to give my energy body a rest. So you can do that. You can go and do any of the recorded ones that I've already put out. The one I recommend most, the one we just did last week was amazing. And the one we did on the 14th of August, also powerful. But any one of them will work. And you can, if you've done it enough and you know the process, you can guide yourself through it. I would do that regularly. I do those almost on a daily basis. And that is, and that's, you don't have to go click on any links. You can just, it's free here. It's here for you. And you already know how to do it. That should be a fundamental practice for you. Visualization of fantasy 5D Earth. We already talked about that. Ground with the Hool breath. So here's the practice routine. If you wanted to do this 3 to 7 days per week, after you've done your lightning qigong in the morning, let's say at nighttime you want to do a practice, you do 5 element breaths and postures, followed by awakening the immortals, followed by 3 Ones meditation plus the Maoshan mantra. If you feel so inclined, then do an interdimensional meditation, communicate with light beings. then visualize your fantasy 5D earth, and then bring yourself back down by grounding with the Hool breath. So you could do all of those in that order. Again, you don't have to do all of them. You could pick 2 or 3 of them. Okay? Am I clear about that? Please, no more messages of, I can't do number 4 because of this. Am I going to be okay? Yeah, you're going to be fine. These are just my suggestions. All right, you want to get serious. Now, if you're trying to leave reality, 3D reality right now, here's a serious one. This is an advanced practice. So continue to do the lightning qigong routine daily, and then 3 to 7 days per week you do the 5-element Maoshan spirit fighting forms, the 3 ones meditation plus the Maoshan mantra, followed by interdimensional meditation, then visualizing your fantasy 5D earth, grounding with the heaven earth qigong meditation. All right, so these practices, the majority of them here are found in the shop. So the Maoshan 5-element spirit fighting forms you can only find in the shop. But they are the most powerful energy practices I think known to man. The only practices that are more powerful than that are the actual spirit fighting forms, and there are 3 of those, and I can't do them justice if I put them in video. So, the 5-element forms I can teach on video. Still, you're better off learning in person, but it's okay to learn it from video. The other ones, there's just no way to put it on video and have you benefit from it. So, some point when I start teaching in person again, I'll teach those. But the most powerful practice I know of outside of those is the 5-element Maoshan spirit fighting forms. I don't think there's anything more powerful than that, other than what I just mentioned. The 3 ones meditation plus the Maoshan mantra, you already know that. Interdimensional meditation, you know about that. Visualization of 5D earth, you know about that. The heaven earth qigong meditation can be found in the shop at thunderwizard.com. And I used to do that daily. I would do my practices, and I did that for years. And what it did is it did create a direct connection between higher dimensions and earth through my central channel. And when you do that, you can feel heaven and earth coming together, and you are the conduit. It is an unbelievable feeling. And it is literally, the heaven earth qigong practice is a all-in-one practice. If somebody said, I just want to do one energy meditation practice for the rest of my life. I don't want to do a bunch of yoga and then do some meditation and then do a mantra and then do some, I don't want to do all that. I just want one practice that's going to do everything for me. That would be one of them. The heaven earth qigong practice. If I would say, do that meditation for 2 hours a day for the rest of your life and you will shift. It's true. Most people don't have the patience to put that much time and effort. It's not like 1,000 years ago where somebody would go live off in a cave and that's all that they would do. This would be one of those things. Like if this was 500 years ago, China, or 1,000 years ago in China, or India or something. If somebody wanted to become an immortal and they wanted to leave this reality, this is one of those practices they would go off and do. They would just go off into a mountain cave somewhere and just spend literally all of their waking energy when they're not eating and sleeping doing that. It's got that much broad potential. It'll balance anything, heal anything, and it'll give you access to everything, and it will open up all of your meridians. And spiritually, there's nothing more powerful than mating the masculine and the feminine, because you're allowing the Sky Father and the Earth Mother to literally mate through your system. It's pure creation. There's nothing more powerful than that. So that is a great way to end the practice. So the advanced routine is continuing to do the lightning qigong a routine daily, and then 3 to 7 days per week, you do this. You do the 5-element Maoshan spirit fighting forms, followed by the 3-1 meditation and Maoshan mantra, followed by interdimensional meditation, followed by visualizing your 5D earth, and then end by grounding with the heaven earth qigong meditation. Again, don't come to me asking me, do I have to, can I do? Can I take this one out and replace it? Look, it's just a suggestion. I'm at a different place in what I'm doing, so I'm following a different routine. But if I was to talk to a version of myself, this is what I would have wanted somebody to teach me way back when I was learning these things, 30 years ago. If I had a teacher, if I were to go back in time and give myself when I was motivated, and I literally was spending 10, 12 hours a day doing all of these practices. If I were to go back in time and give myself the perfect practice, it would be this one. You do that, many of the things I came up with, I had to come up with because my direct teacher and his teacher weren't balanced. They didn't have all of the techniques. They had enough techniques to give you a lot of power, but they didn't know how to balance it. And so they both went bonkers. And so I had to learn. I had to reverse engineer and learn a bunch of other things. I had to go outside of them and talk to other people in the same tradition and learn how to bring in the meditations and the other things to balance it out. So with all the information that I know now, if I were to go back and talk to myself 30 years ago, I would teach him this. Here's what you do. Do this every day or 3 to 7 days per week. And it'll give you everything you need. Having said that, don't worry about it. Pick one. You want to just do the lightning qigong? Great. You just want to do the awakening the immortals? Great. They will all do fine. They will all work. There's no such thing as perfection. It's just, are you making yourself happy and are you improving a little bit? Okay? So don't freak out. Do whatever you want. Do your best. These are a couple of different suggestions. All right. So that's it, my friends. I got to get ready for another live Zoom class for this week, so I'm going to go do that. Thank you all. Please remember, you are the most powerful being that has ever existed. Please enjoy these practices and really take care of yourselves. We're living in craziest times Earth has ever experienced. I will see you all very soon. Please be very good to yourselves.